Hey there, welcome to the Impatient Entrepreneur Podcast, a show where we hear from entrepreneurs and business owners who are chomping at the bit to make their mark on the world. I'm your host, Lauren Quidar-Cockrell. Now, let's hurry up and get to the good stuff. Hi, friends. Welcome back. We have a fun guest today. We have Swire Ho, who's a new friend to me. He runs a very cool business, and I can't wait to hear him share all about it. I've been promised lots of stories, so go ahead and buckle in. We're going to have a great episode today. Swire, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me on your show, Lauren.
Yeah. So will you please tell our listeners a bit about you and the business you run and anything else you'd like to share?
Thank you. My name is Swire Ho. People also call me the promo guy. Right now, I'm into promotional product business. So as the name tells you, I'm in the branded merchandise business. I help clients to increase sales and then unlock the potential for the brand by having meaningful promotional products.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. Are you seeing anything really exciting right now? Like, what's your favorite product of the year?
I think the favorite product is somewhat unobvious, but obvious is pickleball paddle. The whole nation is getting into pickleball right now. Everywhere you go, if you're a senior, if you're kids, you have pickleball. So actually a pickleball racket set is one of the top gifts that I would recommend for the holidays.
Ooh, I love that idea. That's so cute. I haven't seen it from like a branded perspective. So that's a really clever idea.
That's why it's interesting.
Yeah, I love that. And then what do you think are going to be some of the top trends next year?
I think as we go back to in-person working, there are some of us who still like remote working. So I think kitting is one of the trends that I'm seeing that will continue to grow. What that means is, company now will send the new hire a package of goodies, the menus, so some formal stuff, some branding stuff. So a lot of kitting, a lot of gift sets are still going to be sent because people want not just a promotional product now, they want the experience. When I sign on to become a member for an association, I want the full experience. When I go to a concert, I want the entire experience. And it's our job as a marketer to give the experience to our target audience. So I think that trend is going to be continue, and there's a lot of fun stuff that could be happening in those boxes.
I am obsessed with this. So I love the idea of particularly for new team members into the company brand. So you're saying like a really cool branded box with some company swag and cool gifts in there?
Yeah, they actually serve a lot of purpose. But if you think deeper, that you already know that already. If you are small business professional or even your HR for a big company, you know that when you first hire someone, they will probably post pictures on the social media, or they update their LinkedIn, right? I'm now hired at this new company. A lot of times, if you give them a cool box, they will take a picture of it with their cell phone. What that does, it actually help your recruiting efforts, because we spend a lot of time scouting for the best talent. But a lot of times we want to see a young generation want to know if I'm working for a cool company, if I'm working for a company that value to what I wanted. So a lot of times they actually will take less money, but to work something that is in line with what their values are. By having those boxes and by having the new hire to put it on their social media, they actually to help solidify that process. Wow, they are getting really cool gift, and this company they don't give anyone. So maybe when I switch jobs, I should consider that company giving the employees all the incentive as well. So little things, but that goes a long way for finding the top talents out there.
That's really I'm kind of blown away. I love that. I really love this because, it's so expensive to hire people. It's expensive to train them. And then, really wanting sort of birds of a feather. If you find a good team member and you want more of them, you assume that some folks are really kind of hanging around similar caliber people, and that, okay, well, if you're sharing that content, that someone will say, oh, well, I didn't get anything when I joined this company and I'm just sitting here alone in my home and I have no connection. Maybe I need to rethink where I'm going. Oh, that's such a great idea. I love that. So do you really partner with your clients then to help them come up with ideas, or do people kind of come to you with the ideas, or is it both? How does that work?
A little bit of both. And I am the type of person who likes to ask a lot of questions, because not to say bad things about a pen, like you don't need a pen on all occasions. Maybe when it fits the occasion, you do that. But what I wanted to do by asking so many questions is, who are the ideal recipient for? Is it for employees? Is it for your client? What kind of people are they? Male, female? Like, tell me or that you can about that person, because I do believe there's a fit for a promotional product. What works for me is not going to work for you, Lauren. And then maybe there are some mediocre item that we could both use, maybe a tote bag, for example. But for me to think it's cool enough to take a picture and post it on the social media, it has to be me. I'm sure that you as well. I'm sure that there are items that you see, then you take a picture right away. So it's for my question to uncover what that product is and what to the audience, they will respond right away. Or maybe going back to the hiring standpoint, maybe they are on the fence for company A and B. Mm-hmm. And by just sending you a box, let's say $200, right? It sounds like a lot of money. How much money do you think top agency spend to recruit middle level manager? And how much money do you think when you lose a key employee will cost your company? So these are money well spent if you do them right.
Right. And I think a lot of people, when it comes to corporate gifting, they put themselves as the company first in their minds versus thinking about the recipient. So it's so smart. I mean, you need to put the customer or the internal customer, the employee first. Like, what do they actually want? You're right. Do they need another pen? If it's a really cool pen, sure. But very cool. I love that position. Okay. So first official question: are you an impatient entrepreneur?
Yes. Yes, I will answer it. Yes.
And how long have you been an entrepreneur?
20 years now. This year will mark the 20th year of my entrepreneur journey.
Congratulations.
Still impatient though.
Yeah. Okay. So, are you just impatient across the board? Are there certain things you're more impatient about? Has that calmed down at all as you've matured in your business, or is it just like same as day one, ready, shoot, aim?
I think it's getting better. And I think it also comes with I'm older now. So like, I know that things that I am not supposed to say and will later on regret, I'm now at the age right now that I will just suck it up and not going to say it, because I know something that maybe at a heated moment or maybe a negotiation with contract, right? You say things that you later on regret. So I'm at the point that, I will let people talk 80% of the time, and I try to listen while other people are talking, and only talk 20% of the time. If I can remember this rule going into a meeting, I think it always come out in a positive way. But if I start talking way too much, then it probably don't turn out my way as well.
Yeah, that's very wise advice. As I have also gotten older and the business has changed, the impatient urges aren't there quite as much. But if I get excited, I'm ready. I'm like, let's go. I sent a team survey out yesterday to, as we're planning for 2024 and things like that. And about 5 minutes after I sent it, I was checking to see if anyone responded yet. Okay, let's calm down. They're probably trying to be thoughtful about this. Let's give them a minute. Are you creating anything right now? Like new programs, new packages, new lines, anything like that?
Yeah, I'm always on the lookout for different trends. And if I know my client and know their business well, I'll actually be on the lookout for them. So if I see something cool, because I come in contact with anywhere from 5 to 10,000 items at the same time. And my client do not need to see all of them.
No.
So
Yeah.
I'm kind of like the filter for them. So maybe they say next year we like purple or we like a sustainable product. So it's my job to go out to filter already for them. So when I am ready to have them to talk about, then ready filter. So I think it's fun to be in my business because I could play pickleball. I could go to sustainable options. I could talk to people that do environmental type product. So I'm everywhere all the time. So I think
Right.
it's fun for me, and because I'm a curious person. So I think being the promo guy has actually enabled me to do what I really like to do.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. I'm a curious person too, so birds of a feather. And are you, back when I used to do a little bit more promotional marketing, it was just like it was a volume game. You had to order so much of anything. Are you able to do more kind of one-off, on-demand opportunities now, or is it still a volume game?
Volume obviously helps, right, on
Mm-hmm.
the bottom line.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes people are getting more unique, and they want something that is unique to themselves. So we are getting into some of a custom, one of a kind type product, and the
Mm-hmm.
goal is to let them know that big or small, we can help. But it's a balancing game. Obviously, I want something that's so easy, and I have a good markup. I just do a million of it. But
Yeah.
sometimes it doesn't. I hope that happens every day, but so far I'm still working towards that.
And how did you get into this business?
That's a good story. In my first business, I'm in LA, so I
Mhm.
was in the entertainment industry, and somehow I got into the CD and DVD replication business. So
Okay.
we make CDs and DVDs, if you're old enough to remember, back
Yep.
in the early 2000s. And along the
Yep.
way, when musicians finish their album, or when the movie about to premiere, they ask, do you do merchandise that we could sell on tour, or do you do the give backs for giveaway at red carpet? So we somehow stumbled upon that industry and doing t-shirts, doing mugs at in the beginning. And in 2013, we a local competitor in the CD DVD replication business wanted to purchase our company. So I think
Hmm.
that's kind of like the hindsight is 2020. I think that was at the right time. That's where when our internet got really fast, and then Netflix, the quality has actually gotten better on the streaming, and then the music streaming is taking off. So we sold that part of the business, and then focus now exclusively on promotional products.
Nice. Talk about meeting the moment there, not hanging on too long. So, how do you fuel yourself as an entrepreneur? Do you read books? Do you listen to podcasts? Do you go to conferences? What are all the things you do to stay fresh?
So I found kind of the way that works for me. I don't think it works for anyone. Well, like I was telling you, I'm a curious person. I'm also impatient. So that, we set up the stage there. I like to
You and me
be,
both.
yeah, I like to go around, and I'm not the type of person, not unlike my kids, they like to sit in the room, read quietly, study quietly. I have to go out and learn by doing. Sometimes good, sometimes not as good. And then if I really don't know something, I will reference it either on podcasts. I'll read a book about the subject that I'm really interested in. But first, for my type of personality, I'll actually go out and get my feet wet first to see if I
Hmm.
like that. Because
Hmm.
a lot of time, I think when people read so much about a subject and then they finally get the chance to do it, they hate it. So I think I'm
Right,
actually doing it
right.
on reverse. Little things that I like to try throughout the week and throughout my life, and then there's something that really drawn to me. Then I'll go back and study up on that, read up on the subject, and then really learn more about that. So, kind of a weird answer. I don't think most entrepreneur will give you the answer, right?
Kind of like kinesthetic, tactile learner. Do you have an example of something that's you've done like that recently?
For example, when people ask me my clients, they like to go to conferences. So like what I do, I won't read up stats and report of what's trending in conference. I actually go to the conference, and what people do, they will look at the speaker, look at everything else. I actually look around and behind those banners, behind the tablecloth, to see what's underneath that. So I could study and take research, my own research for local event. This is what people are using on this type of event on a different industry and whole other industry. I'll actually look at these are the things that they use. So when people actually ask me about that subject, I will use what I've learned from the actual field on the ground to give them the idea. Sometimes I will cross path, and give you an example. More than a few years ago, Von Dutch was popular. Like everyone wants to dress like a truck. trucker,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And my tech company client, they wanted to dress everyone a trucker, for example. And just so happened, I work with an auto body shop and the auto mechanic. So they wear the same outfits. So I actually outfit the entire tech firm with what I would sell normally to an auto mechanic shop with a uniform.
I love
They were
that.
so happy. So I think that's kind of like a weird example. Like I looked at the weird stuff. I looked under the table. So that's how I learned. It's kind of weird.
Well, I don't think it's weird at all because we do the same thing. So we don't have a specific niche. We're very curious people, and we love to work with all different types of industries and founders, and just work with the people who are passionate about what they do. And so we say that we're honeybees cross-pollinating ideas across industries. So what might work in retail might be really exciting for an accounting firm, or vice versa. You just never know how you can mix and match and do something really unique versus being stuck in a rut and doing the same thing that everybody else is doing. So yeah, not weird to me.
That's how you stand out as well. Because if you go with the industry norm or maybe the lingual, maybe the color, it's very safe, right, in a marketing standpoint. But then sometimes you get someone who is a disruptor, right? People like to use that word because they are, like you said, cross-pollinating or bringing something that works on other sector into this sector. A good example nowadays will be people used to spend a lot of money on TV ads, but now you can actually have an influencer, even a micro influencer, to review your product, to showcase a day of how they use your product. Those videos are generating more eyeballs than the actual ads, because when I see an ad on YouTube, for example, I click skip right away. But if I watch an influencer that I like to watch, and they're kind of promoting, I know they're promoting, right? They're using a product. I pay more attention to that. So I think you have to be on the lookout. And sometimes it's boring to say the industry lingo. Like if I'm not your industry, it's all like gibberish for me. So how do you make sure that you can explain your marketing message or your call to action, even to a third grader? If you're able to do that, then you are probably able to reach more people as well.
Such good advice. I'm loving this conversation. What are you impatient about right now, other than everything?
like you, like when I send out a proposal, when customer want something, a lot of times I feel like I'm more impatient than they are. They're supposed to have the ones that have a deadline. They're supposed to be the one who is on the line with, getting the right thing. I feel like I'm somewhat impatient and wanted to help them more than sometimes they need to help. It's a weird way to put it. But if I calm down, really focusing back, that's why I have the 80-20 rule. Even though I have tons of ideas I wanted to tell them, or a lot of example I want to show them, I do want to listen all the way through. And it's good for my sales tactics too. If I talk too much of the time, maybe there are things that they didn't want to say that they would have said it if I let them talk. So I actually are able to pick up more information. I'm taking notes so then I know that, this is the way that they want to be helped. This is the way that they want to be communicated. Because I learned throughout the year that I have customers that only answer emails. I have customer now, younger generation, only answer through text. They never want me to call them. It really is true. I've been texting them all the time, but like something that I wanted to call them, I say, why are you calling? I'm busy, but they're answering the text. So I think by listening, by being more patient, it will help me as an entrepreneur, help me as a salesperson, and it also help me when I try to service my client and to get the way that they want it. It's, again, when I say in the beginning, it's not what I wanted, it's what they wanted, because ultimately they're the client.
Right. Well, how lucky your clients are to have you, to be so passionate about their success and what you do for them. So, I'm sure you have many happy clients.
Thank you.
Okay. So switching gears, tell us a story about something that's happened in your business life that at the moment it felt like the rug had totally been pulled out from underneath you. You felt like, oh my gosh, this is the worst thing that could ever happen. But now looking back, you realize it was really the best thing that could happen and you're much stronger because of it.
Well, I'm sure that you probably get this answer a lot. Like COVID did change forever for my business. I think in the end, it's actually a good thing because in the beginning, all the warehouses are shut down and all the events are canceled, right? So we live on the events and then we live on people having meetings, right? So that's gone. So we were lucky enough that go into the PPE business for a little bit, maybe there was really high stress, but there was a lot of volume there, like the million, order that happens then. But then it kind of stopped because as we get more normal and the price fluctuation becomes less, then we had a tough year like in 2020, right? Because nothing really happening. But what good happened out there is people are more accustomed to virtual meeting, like the one that you and I are doing right now.
Yeah.
So it actually make me more efficient. And because I will be visiting my client to show them different ideas. They want to see me right with the team, and then I have to be there in person. But right now they're comfortable enough, and then I can actually get to meet more of the team member across the country and sometime across the world. We can jump onto a Zoom meeting and then we can hammer out all the details. And I will never forget to bring my file because I'm using my computer. Yeah. All the file is in it. So I will never miss something at the meeting. So I think the convenience and the way that I'm able to connect with clients outside of the United States. So I think that's really a game changer, but because we do have a lot of clients coming from overseas now, wanted to come into LA to do a trade show, right? At a conference, maybe. Then I could really hop on to a call. It's a lot better to see someone kind of virtually face to face than to just answer an email. And then even for a phone call, I think face to face is not really in person, but then it really, you see their emotion, you see their posture. I think the virtual communication part is the biggest takeaway from the whole COVID experience in business.
Sure. I certainly appreciate it as well. It makes it so much easier, especially if you have young children like I do, and they're all over the place. And then I also have a team around the country. And so, I mean, just this morning, we were able to, our client was local, but my team member's in another state and she can be there with me. And so it's, there's so many things. While you were speaking, it occurred to me, did you have any challenges due to supply chain issues around the COVID period?
Yeah, it was crazy. It just at one point is whatever that you can get, we'll take from the client. But on the other hand, you had to wait 90 days. Like, are you willing to wait for it? So I think in our industry, turnaround still are not back to where it was before in 2018, and it's kind of tricky. So like, I think planning, it's what I like to communicate with my client. Like, you need a lot of planning. So for my part, I kind of also pivot my approach a little bit. Gone are the days that you could do crazy 48 hours turnaround. Right. Now you should plan and execute it better because you're going to give Christmas gift by Christmas. You're going to have your summer party during the summer, right? That's a given. And your company's anniversary is always going to be the same day in the same month. So why not plan for it? And then if I tell them, if the better you plan, the cheaper they might get. So then I can kind of get their attention because it is because if in any industry, if you go into them, I want this done by tomorrow, but I want the top quality, you probably have to pay up. So I think that goes back to what I learned from the beginning of my entrepreneur journey, the golden triangle, especially in a business standpoint. You can have quality and you can have time, you can have the money. You can fit it anywhere to that. Even to your industry, if you want quality and you want it cheap, can you wait 6 months? Like I could do it for you at my free time or when we have available, but it's going to take longer. If they say yes, okay. If they want fast and they want good quality, you got to pay up for it. So you can fit that into any situation, really, but you can only pick two. Sometimes client will want to try to push all three, and that's a lot of times where you get into problem.
Yeah. Was it fast, cheap, or good? Pick two. Same goes with services. And so when you were growing up, how old were you when you moved to the States?
I 18. So it's
18.
been a lot of years now.
We won't make you do we won't reveal that. Okay, so a young man moving to the States. So you spent your childhood in Hong Kong. When you were growing up, was there anything that people told you, oh, Swire, you're so and it made you feel like that part of you was a weakness, but now as a man running a business, you feel like you realize that that's actually your superpower?
Yeah, I'm in my older self right now, but I think I am still at a Swire back in, maybe 7th grade, 8th grade. I'm still curious. I still like to look under the table, and I like to ask the question, why? And I like to talk, as you could probably tell. And in a school environment in Hong Kong, it's very academic, I would say. It's unlike where my kids go to school, they are encouraged to ask questions. Over there at the education system, you sit on your desk, you listen to the teacher, you take notes, and that's it. You don't ask questions unless you've been asked. So for me, figuring out something, I like to ask, why do you do it like that? Why do you spell this like that? Why do you, the poem, why did they say it like that? So I get in trouble a lot of times because I speak up. I have a lot of questions, and this is why I go out and send outside the classroom. But now I'm actually encouraged to ask more questions. I'm actually getting my reward asking the right question, right? Because if I assume a certain thing in my profession, then a lot of time it's wrong. But if I'm able to ask my client or people that I talk to, and then they answer with things that I need, then I could fill in all the blanks that I have and then come up with the solution that will be better for my competition, because I'm in a commodity space, right? If I just compete solely on the price of a pen or a t-shirt or whatever that is, then I become a commodity company. But by asking the question, even as simple as, Mr. Prospect, why are you buying this pen? Like, what are you trying to do with that? Then I listen for them to open up. We're actually trying to create a retention for our client, or maybe we're trying to get engagement with our employees. Then you know that they don't need a pen. They need something else. Not only I could get my bottom line to be higher and sell them better product, and then they will appreciate, because everyone is just quoting me the bottom price, but this person actually asking me the right question and try to understand what we do. And not all of them works, but then there are clients who appreciate the questions that I ask nowadays.
Sure. And I imagine, there's people who like, don't ask me questions. I just want a pen. Leave me alone. And okay, well, I'm not the person for you. You can have it, or you don't. Or if you feel like you're going to compare price to price, we might not win that deal. But you may move on if you're not needing all the problem solving services that we also offer. So, yeah, I hear that. For those listening, what kind of advice would you have someone that they could do today to make their lives or businesses stronger and better?
I'll stick with the listening part. You wanted to listen 80% of the time and only talk 20% of the time. Don't really matter what industry they're in, especially if you're in service business. If you talk all the time, how do you know how to help their client? Or if you're me, like even in product-based business, I have a lot of things, a lot of product that I could pitch them, but without knowing what the pain points are and what really keep them up at night, if you're able to uncover what your client or what the counterpart are up at night, and if you're able to offer them that solution or product, then you have a customer for life.
Yeah, absolutely. Wonderful. So wrapping up, we'll tell folks where they can find you. You also have your own podcast. So let's talk where we can find your business and order amazing products and get great service, and then also your own podcast.
Thank you. So if you wanted to find out more about work, you could visit our website at garudapromo.com. If you want to learn more about me, you can also Google Swire or hashtag the promo guy. I created a small business show around the COVID time, because I have a little bit more free time. And the goal is to really try to understand little snippets or little tips that I have. If Swire would go back 20 years ago and listen to the episode, is that episode going to save him 5 years? And sometimes the answer is yes, because like me, I like to go around in circle and try new things. But if someone would point me to the right direction in the beginning, then you don't have to go in a circle. You can kind of go like a straight line, maybe curve a little bit. So that's my intention for doing the small business show. And then we live stream that every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Check it out.
And what's one of the biggest lessons you've learned from somebody else on that show?
It was the guest from yesterday. And he has a book called Fire Yourself First. So his mentality is what resonates with me, because I always wanted to create, it's so automatic that it doesn't need Swire, but then the business can still run. He actually have done it for 5 of his businesses. So I think that was a really good episode. If I would have listened to him 10 years ago, it probably saved me a lot of time. So I think that's a great episode. Like what can I do more with less is my mantra. So, and he kind of really answered that question really well.
Well, I will definitely check that out. Thank you. Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming on, and I look forward to seeing you on your show soon.
Thank you, Lauren.
Thanks for listening to The Impatient Entrepreneur. Love the podcast? Be sure to share it with a friend or colleague, or give us a 5-star review on Apple. You can also chat with us on Instagram or Facebook at The Impatient Entrepreneur Pod. Want to star on a future episode? Head over to theimpatiententrepreneur.com to inquire. Thank you to the team at Quidar & Co. for believing in me and bringing this podcast to life. And thank you to Carson Childers for mixing and editing this episode. Can't wait to see you next time.